Welcome to Bucket Talk, your go-to podcast for all things Dallas Mavericks. I'm your host, Ahan Jain, and I'm joined by my co-host, Nirvan Bhattacharya. Today, we're going to be talking about a little bit about the Mavericks and how they've been performing recently. So I want to get your input on this. What is your thought about the team so far?
So overall, I think, we've been playing really good, especially without Luka Doncic. I think, easily by far our strongest player on the team. I think Kyrie has definitely stepped up for sure with Luka being injured. I think at this point, when Luka's almost, ready to be healthy again, just trying to, win that edge and try and win small games. It doesn't have to be too much, but, keep winning out until we get back Luka, and I think we'll be a strong team.
Yeah, if you look at the last 10 games, they've all been a pretty small loss whenever we've lost. So
exactly.
We're 4-6, but the games we've lost by 1 point to the Timberwolves, 5 to Charlotte, 3 to the Pelicans. So, and that just comes with a bunch of injuries.
You look back to the Grizzlies, we had a really cold streak of I think about 4 or 5 losses, and they weren't super close games, but these are winnable games. I think by 10, and pretty decent teams though. The Cavaliers are doing really well. That was a bad loss, but the Rockets we lost too. But just trying to play really good, play as a team until we can get back Luka and be really strong again. Have that 1-2 punch of Kyrie and Luka.
Yeah, and I think the injuries, not even just to Luka, just in general, have been really derailing for this team.
Exactly, especially with Kleber going down with a broken foot. So
Lively too.
Yeah, Lively. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and it's not even them too. It's just the rotation guys. Even someone like a Jaden Hardy who doesn't play every single game.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need him. He's not there to play for you in those spot minutes. So I
think right now I'm looking that we have Kleber out, Najee Marshall, Dwight Powell, Exum, Lively, and Luka. So that's a lot of obviously we have big Luka injured, but Lively is a big player. We have Kleber comes in and has shoots threes, and we're missing out on Exum, who sometimes he has a here and there a 20-30 point game. So these are some key role players who are missing on top of Lively, an anchor in the paint. Luka, one of the best scorers.
What's Marshall's injury?
Marshall is, I think, injured. He has been with an illness, so he's not injured, but he's just out. But
it's been lingering for a while. It's the lung, I think.
Yeah, something. Yeah. And then Powell with the hip, and then Exum has a hurt wrist.
Exum hasn't played a whole game this year, so I think him and Luka will kind of align. They're supposed to be coming back soon. Yeah,
exactly. And Lively was supposed to be reevaluated in 4 weeks because he has a right ankle fracture. So yeah.
And also I feel once these people come back, I think because before all these injuries, we're about 4th in the West. So where the Nuggets were sitting. And since then, we've dropped 5 spots, which is very significant because obviously we want to avoid the play-in tournament. So I think getting these people back can propel us back to we're only 2 games behind the 6th seed. So honestly, once we get them back, I think we can get back up there.
And it was only last season we made the championship. So with our strong team, with how we are, if we just keep playing and once we have everyone back, I think we'll be a really serious, dangerous team. We just have to look out for the Celtics. I think the Cavs, the Nuggets have been well, but their conference, the Western, is a lot harder, I'd say for sure. But yeah.
I kind of want to get your thoughts on Spencer Dinwiddie's play, because I know me personally, he's a very skilled player, but what I don't like about him is that he acts like he's a superstar and he thinks he's way better than he actually is, and he takes very bad shots in the clutch, which is why we're losing some of these in the Minnesota game. What do you think about that?
Hold on, you cut out. You said the Minnesota game?
Yeah, we lost the Minnesota game because of that, particularly.
Yeah. So I feel Dinwiddie, he's back again with us. We had him before. He tries to do more than what he's being asked to do, and he's not I think the caliber of a player to take big shots like you were saying. He's more of a 3-and-D guy. He has great defense, and he can be a decent shooter, get us some points when we need to. But I think he's scoring a little too much. I mean, maybe he's trying to step up with Luka being hurt, but I don't think that's his role to do.
I feel that's part of the problem. I think he thinks he needs to be someone who he isn't. And I feel like whenever those people are back, he plays much better than when they weren't. But he also does come up pretty big. Like in that OKC game that we just recently won, he had a 30-point game. Like against an OKC team, that's the best team in the league. So it's like choose your poison.
Yeah. And PJ also stepped up big time that game, having 19. Yeah, Kyrie only had 4, which is a little unusual, but he stepped up big time.
PJ is like against the OKC Thunder. He's their owner, dude. He plays so well against them.
Exactly.
And so with all these injuries, there's been a bit of a rumor to bring up the 7'5" center from the G League, Jamarion Sharp, and I think that'd be a great move to do. But the problem is you need to cut someone to make that happen. And it'd probably be one of these guys on the end of the bench. So who do you think would go out for that move?
So I would really not try and cut, a young guy like Maxence Prosper. I would try and cut maybe Markieff Morris. He hasn't really done much. He's kind of older. He doesn't add much value to the team, and I think that would be, a cut that we can easily afford. I wouldn't really want to cut, someone with young and with potential, like, Naj Marshall, or even, obviously, like I just said, Maxence Prosper, but I would definitely, I think, cut Markieff Morris, who hasn't really done much.
Like one of these, I think Markieff Morris he doesn't play at all, but I think in the locker room, he's a very valuable presence to have. So I think it'd probably be one of these younger guys, like not like younger, like not someone who plays, but I think it'd be maybe a Jazz Gortman or Brandon Williams, because they don't really see much playing time.
But I remember Brandon Williams, like he has here and there, he has some nice throwdown dunks. He can be good getting to the rim. So that would be a hard question. I mean, for me, I think we would go with Morris. He also, he doesn't play much, but I don't know. He is, like you were saying, a good veteran to have on the team. But we have other veterans like that. Like, you can't cut Dwight Powell. He's not a strong player, but he's been around for so long, You
can't, you can't move on from him at this point. Yeah. And I feel like you said, like in the absence, maybe some of these bench guys, these young guys are going to step up. So I feel like if someone who doesn't play, who is there for purely locker presence, I feel like the Mavs may be looking to move off of him as well. So we'll see.
Speaking on, people stepping up, I think, this is a lot down the future, but I feel like even this season, I think Jaden Hardy should receive a lot more playing time than, especially with Luka being hurt. He's just a really shifty guard that can, shoot and get to the rim. He's a really crafty. I love his handles, and I don't know. I just feel like, and he's proved to us last year. In playoff games, he's had big performances when we needed. He was called up and he performed. So I don't know why they're not really utilizing him as much. I think down the future, looking down, as Kyrie ages and Luka's still relatively young, but I think Hardy will be a guy that will be a very key factor to the Dallas Mavericks.
I think, I agree with that 100%. And I think it's more of a trust thing with Jason Kidd. Like you see him play guys like Dinwiddie and Exum over Hardy purely because of defense. And while I agree with that, sometimes you need someone who can just score, especially right now. Like, I understand Hardy's hurt, but like even before he was hurt, he wasn't playing as much as he should have played.
Exactly.
So it's like, I don't know, it must be a trust thing, because he was starting to ball and then unexpectedly he would go on a hot streak and then he would get pulled out the game. It just doesn't make that much sense.
It might be the lack of defense, and also like you were saying he's a very young guy. I think he's third year,
third or fourth year.
Third year. And so as he becomes more experienced, plays better defensively, I think he'll be a much better player.
I agree with that. And over these next 10 games, you have a lot of gimme games that you really should be winning. Like we start off tomorrow with Washington on the 27th, and then on the 29th we go over to New Orleans, and then 31st Detroit. Those all 3 games should be straight wins.
Exactly. And then we go down to February 2nd, open up the month of February and play Cleveland. If we can go out and get a win, hopefully, if we may or may not have Luka that game, I don't think we will, maybe the game after, that would be a huge win, because Cleveland is obviously dominating right now. And then if we go out and beat Philly, I think we could beat. They're a strong team though, and then we have Boston. So those 3 games become a little tough again, but then we'll slowly, have Luka again. have maybe some players return. So
I don't know. It's just something about the way Boston plays. Their 3-pointers, like it's like a barrage every single time.
yeah,
Like even
especially when they play us. Yeah,
even yesterday on the 25th, they knocked down 23s. And they've only lost one time in 3 years when knocking down 23s, which is crazy.
yeah. Like they're such a fundamentally sound team, especially defensively. I think they pressure us like no other team can, force us to take bad shots, and then offensively they just go out there quick and get what they need with Tatum and Brown, and they get their 3 balls, they get to the rim. They're
and it's the mix of offense and defense. Like you have guys like Drew Holiday who are all-stars and getting like 12, 13, 14 points a game because of how little he can do on the offensive side because of how many people they have to create. Like whenever you have Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Porzingis, Derek White, and Drew Holiday. You have Drew Holiday as your 5th option. Which is
and
very crazy.
Don't forget about Peyton Pritchard. He's off the bench, and he can spark up when he like that clip from last game. He hits a lot of buzzer beaters. Some crazy ones too.
In the finals, he had some crazy buzzer beaters.
Yeah, and then you have Porzingis, that guy we used to have, who can shoot the ball but also get to the rim and grab rebounds when he needs to. So,
and I think with the current lineup we have, if we get through these next 3 games with all 3 wins, I think we can easily spring up the standings and maybe challenge the Clippers again for the 6th spot.
Yeah,
which really we should already be there. So honestly, over this next, I think once we get Luka back, the road becomes a lot easier because, like you said, after February 2nd, that'll be like the time we know because it's been a month now and he's about to be reevaluated. So we're gonna see when he comes back.
Yeah, so I think like you were saying, once we have Luka back, we have this. The strength of schedule does become tougher, and you'll have some road games, some tough games at home. If Luka can come back, just get back in the flow, I think we'll be a really strong team, especially with Kyrie and that 1-2 punch. We have Luka just doing Luka things, hitting crazy step backs, Kyrie being so crafty, and then especially hitting to our bigs with some great dunks. I think we can definitely contest the Clippers and climb our way even higher as the season progresses. Yeah,
and I feel like the road has been a big problem this year. We're sub 500 on the road, and at home, we're above 500. And I think a bulk of our games without these stars have been on the road, so that might be a reason that's happening. But also, I feel like that's just inexcusable because it's like we're dropping easy games to Portland Trailblazers.
Because right now we're sitting at about 9. So, and we're only about a couple of wins away from contesting right now the Timberwolves, the Suns, both very good teams. And then, slowly march our way back up to the top 6 and contest the Lakers and Clippers and, from there.
Yeah, and I feel like honestly, this is just going to be the hardest stretch of the season for us because even with 1 or 2 injuries, this is still a very deep team. And even with 6 or 7 injuries, right now, they're playing like a play-in team, which honestly isn't even really that bad.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all.
So it's like,
and this is how I feel like Mavericks basketball is. They go through a rough patch beginning middle of the season, and then when they need to win, when they know it's time to go out there and show them how Mavericks basketball is played, show them there that we're a contender. They go out and win games when they need to. So I think we just have to keep playing aggressive and also smart right now with Luka being hurt, and then just go out there and keeps slowly clawing our way back.
One thing you said was really interesting to me. We have to play smart, and I think that is very true, and especially when it comes to minutes with Gafford, because we have no bigs right now except for Gafford, unless we call up Sharp. So if we just play Gafford 30 minutes a game, he's gonna get injured before any of these other people come back. Because you've seen the way he plays. He's a very energetic guy. He's gonna go for all these balls.
Yeah, so lobs and everything.
At that point, you're making them more susceptible to injury. So it's like it puts Jason Kidd in a very interesting spot as to what to do with the center rotation without 3 out of his 4 options.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, like you were mentioned, bringing up Sharp would hopefully be a huge addition. We don't know though, he's a G League guy. He's 7'5" though, so a lot of size to help down low. Maybe take a little pressure off Gafford. Not even ask him to do much. Just get us rebounds and then, just play solid, big.
I've seen something floating around on like Twitter and on the news. Like the Mavericks, they've been in talks to trade like Gafford, and I really don't agree with that. But now, since he's their only move, is their only center, I think there's some rumors that they're trying to make a move for another center. So how would you feel about that? Because like once Lively's back, this dude will just get knocked out of the rotation immediately. So like, what do you think about that?
So I think that, it depends on what we're trying to get. Because, I remember, prior to the season, there were rumors about getting Giannis, which that would be, like that would be amazing, right? But I don't know if that's gonna happen. But if we can get a solid big, I'm not talking about like one of the top fives, but someone solid, maybe there could be some value to that. Hopefully, maybe we get some draft value out of a trade. But I think if we're not getting too much, I say we stick to Gafford because he's playing like a top 10 big in my opinion, especially last season. Getting a lot of good blocks and then getting to the rim, getting rebounds. So I don't know if we should really trade him away unless we're making a huge upgrade in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. I think that as well. And I think they're looking for a backup now because of Lively being out, Cleveland being out, Powell being out. A couple of names I've heard is Valanciunas, Darion Sharp, Duop Reed. He fell out of the rotation for the Trailblazers. So it's like guys like these, but I don't know what we're going to have to give up for them. So I don't know if it's worth giving up something of value for 2 months.
Exactly. Yeah, because how long is Lively out for?
2 months.
2 months, 2 months. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is if we could bring up Sharp and cut, a player that, like we were mentioning earlier, cut a player we don't need as much, that could be a potential move. But there is slight risk to that because, Sharp may not work out, right? He's coming from the G League. But, also signing, one of those players like you were saying, Valanciunas, and, signing a player that, has not seen the rotation as much and from another team, maybe that could be a good idea, like a solid role player to back up Lively. But if we're not getting much value from it, I wouldn't go for a trade.
I agree with that as well. And I saw something else floated out about a Miles Turner trade, and that would literally be a pure rental trade because we could not sign him at all because he's gonna want $30 million at the end of the year, and we already have our center core. So with Lively being out right now, he'll probably be out for the rest of the season, but he'll come back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if you go get a Miles Turner, give up, say, 2 first-round picks, I don't think it's worth it at all. Because either you're going to have to knock out one of 3 top 10 bigs in your rotation, which is absurd to me. I don't think it's worth it to do that. But Nico Harrison is a very aggressive general manager, so I could see something like that happening.
Yeah. So, that's the thing where it could either, help us become a more solidified team or come back to haunt us later, like you were saying. Because I think, if we make a trade like that, get a big-time big, it could help us, but maybe we see limited success. Maybe next year that comes back to haunt us or, later in the playoffs,
Yeah, and I think the right move to do is trade for a wing because the centers will just get knocked out of the rotation regardless of who they are because of how valuable Derek Lively really is. I think he has the potential to be a top 3 big in the league, let alone he's already top 10 in his second year, which is crazy. Mavericks have 2 top 10 bigs when they've struggled at that position for so long. So why give it up? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I think the smart move is to go trade for a wing, not a guy like Herb Jones who's going to make Daniel Gafford be gone from Dallas. Like someone lower key. Because I love Dorian Finney-Smith, but he's gone now. He's with the Lakers.
Yeah. So I also miss him. Yeah.
We can see who they target. Maybe I think Najee Marshall was perfect for this free agency signing. So it's like a guy like him that you'd want.
Yeah. I just add a little more depth to our, injured roster.
Because Grimes playing amazing too. So
Grimes has stepped up big time.
So you don't need you don't need another guard in my opinion. Because especially Exum's coming back, Hardy's coming back, Luka's coming back. The guard spot's good.
The guard.
If anything, you should trade one.
Yeah. Trade one and possibly get a wing. You know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Our guards are really deep. You know, I mean, we have injuries right now, but once they're healthy, I think that's the best part of our team.
So the lineup Kid's been rolling out as of late with these injuries has been Gafford at the big, Kyrie at the point guard, Clay at the shooting guard, and then we've had PJ and either Dinwiddie or Grimes. So I think that's a pretty solid lineup for what we're working with right now.
Oh yeah.
But sure. I don't think Dinwiddie. I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing, but I don't think Dinwiddie should be. I feel like Dinwiddie should be in a unit by himself.
I agree. I think Dinwiddie should be potentially a 6th, 7th man coming off the bench, but I think Grimes should, and maybe slowly he'll, solidify that, starting spot as long as how long Luka's out. Yeah, but the only problem with that lineup, I love the amount of potential we have with shooting 3-pointers and scoring, but I think this lineup lacks defensively, especially with the lack of size.
Yeah. I agree, because they're basically rolling out a 3-guard lineup.
Yeah, it's a small lineup. You're going small ball.
Yeah, and not having Marshall in this circumstance hurts, because you usually, even when Luka's out, you're like, okay, we can just go play big, because people don't realize Luka's a big guy, dude. He's like 6'7". So 6'7", it's like you're losing a paint presence, even if he's not very good at defense, which.
Yeah,
he is.
He has improved. He's improved,
but he's still not there yet. Like you can go put a Najee Marshall in for him and not feel it on as much on the defensive side. But with these smaller guards, you're just getting bullied in the paint without Luka.
Yeah.
Which is
especially
weird.
I think with our small forward and power forwards being not as big in size, because we have PJ Washington, who's not really a defensive player. He's a guy to go up and shoot threes and get us key buckets, but
he's improved a lot.
Yeah, he has improved.
If you go from the Hornets to the Mavericks, I feel like your effort is going to improve a lot. And surprisingly, since that trade, he's been our best defensive piece, which is kind of crazy.
So. Yeah. He has stepped up, but I'd say generally not as defensively as But I think Gafford is still holding down the pin, but they're still lacking, I think, another guy, one more guy in there, like Lively, just to grab in rebounds, help him out there.
I think PJ going against the other player's best player and still holding his own, like against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he played very
locked him up.
Against him.
Yeah.
And he still went on the other end. It speaks to how well conditioned he is to play in these types of moments where you need to play 30 minutes a game. You need the defense, you need the offense, you need the rebounding. He's the highest rebounder on this team right now.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah, no, PJ has stepped up big time. I think, and that's with, from this season, I think with how our injuries played out, I think he, kind of stepped up to that defensive role. He's already a good scorer. We already know that, but with the injuries, lacking of size, getting stops, I think he stepped up when his name was called to play better defensively.
Yeah, and this is kind of a little off topic, but the Nuggets game, like a little while back, that was Jokic's lowest scoring game in like over a month or two. He had about 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of the rotation of Gafford. That's the game Lively got hurt, actually, but that's because of the rotation of Gafford, Lively, and PJ all on Jokic. So it's like, if you just throw a bunch of guys at someone like Jokic, who's averaging a 30-point triple-double, and who's going to win his 3rd consecutive MVP, like if you just throw a bunch of guys at him, actually 2nd consecutive. Actually, no, Embiid won last year, right?
Or was it Jokic? Check.
I think it was Embiid, but he won 2 before, so he'll get another one. So
I think Embiid did win. Yeah,
it speaks like Jason Kidd. He might get a lot of hate, but at the end of the day, like Gafford says, at the end of the day, his lineups are questionable, but his defensive rating is like, it holds true. Mavericks are 5th in blocks. They're 10th in points. And their field goal percentage is 7th. That's mainly because of Danny Gafford.
Kind of reminds a little bit of Will West
because the highest
he loves that step back
field goal
going
percentage in the league.
That's how he gets his
and like you were saying, I really sorry to cut you off, but the strategy of and we've seen this in other games too, especially with a key player to game plan for, throwing out multiple bodies and rotating them in, kind of like a football strategy to get fresh energy to try and slow down a player. It works so well because you have guys get tired, right? You're playing a big game, running down to the court full speed. If you get fresh bodies in there, that can not only lead better defense, but pressure the other opponent.
And I think Kyrie Irving's defensive versatility is very underrated because people don't realize, even though he's a small guard, he's a very scrappy guard, and he plays with lots of effort on the defensive end.
Effort and aggression, and he can get a lot of crazy steals for sure.
Yeah. And over the last couple of games, something I've noticed is that the turnovers have increased. Against Boston, they had 2, and we had 16.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to win games when your turnover difference is 14.
14, yeah.
It's like,
and that's and you see this in high school basketball. Coaches preach this, from lowest level, even middle school. You can't win games with 10 plus turnovers, 15 plus, because that's just taking away chances from scoring the ball. And our coach used to say that last year in at Green Hill, turnovers, you can't have them. Yeah.
He used to count all the turnovers and be like,
yeah.
Bro, Malcolm was such a troll, bro. So I think over the next couple of weeks, the All-Star game has been talked about widely, the switch in format. What do you think about them going to like a 3v3 style for the tournament?
Oh, they're going to 3v3 style?
Yeah, something like that. It's not traditional anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, maybe they're trying to make it a little more competitive, make it a little more entertaining, because everyone knows this is with NFL too, and Pro Bowl games, All-Star games, they don't try that much as compared to back in the 90s. Injury is one main reason, and I don't know. Teams, especially the fall off of the dunk contest.
Yes.
It used to be so entertaining, and now it's just a lot of great dunkers don't want to participate. I really don't know why. Maybe injuries, but I don't know.
Especially Aaron Gordon, he got robbed twice, so now he's just done with it. It's it's crazy.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't like it. I think they just need to figure out a solution, maybe money or something, or
a little incentive.
In the MLB, they probably can't do this in the NBA, but in the MLB, they do AL versus NL, and whoever wins gets home court advantage in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they can do that, but that gives at least some incentive to play well.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe they can implement in money or something where people or the
kind of like the in-season tournament.
Yeah.
500K if you win per person. For these big stars, it doesn't matter. But for those end of the bench guys, Giannis and the Bucks won, and then the last guy on the bench could finally buy his first house. He's a 20-year-old person. He got 500K, but go buy a house. So it does matter a little bit. So over the next 10 games, I want to ask you, what do you think the record's going to be? Because this could really affect the standings. And if we get into a comfortable spot, one game behind 5th or 6th before Luka comes back, I think we can really jump up.
Yeah, so I think over the next 10 games, with Luka being back, hopefully in time for the Cavs, I agree with you completely. I think we can jump up maybe even to the 5th spot and overtake. I think the 5th right now is the 6th is the Lakers. Yeah, so I think we can, that's a big jump because we're at 9 right now, but we've talked about today earlier, we were playing so well without a lot of key players. Once Luka comes back, that will resolve a lot. And, a couple of, 3-and-D guys and guards, but, I think we can jump up to the potential 5 spot and keep working from there to get higher and higher.
I think Marshall is a very underrated loss because I don't know if you remember this, but there was a month ago, he had a stretch of 20 points in 6 straight games, and it was like amazing to watch.
I remember.
He hadn't scored 20 points more than once in his career, and he did that 5 times, and it was amazing. He's a very underrated scorer and defender. So I think even with just him back, it'll be a major add.
Yeah, like, for sure. He's a small forward. Shooting up?
Small forward. Yeah, he's like a
small forward. So like that's kind of what we're lacking a little bit, and that'll help us big time.
So the next 10 games, the opponents aren't very strong, but after that it gets really heavy. So I think because like we have a bunch of gimme games like the Wizards, Pelicans, the Pistons are like underratedly good. We have a couple tough games like Cleveland and Boston, but after that it's like the Mavericks are notorious for losing these like. You need to win them games.
Yeah, easy one.
Lost a couple. So I think even if we can go 500 or 6-4 without Luka, or Luka coming back for the second part of that stretch, that'd be huge.
Yeah, and I think once Luka comes back, I think it'll be preached by Jason Kidd, just being consistent, just staying consistent, and and disciplined, just to win games that we should, and then that'll make winning harder games easier, right? If you're staying consistent, I think, if we just have that mindset, like last year, where through that late stretch of the season, we just got, locked in the zone and just won games, it's really put us high.
Yeah, and I think the return of Marshall is soon, so I think that's something that at least we can look forward to, because the other injury news isn't very good besides Luka and Exum are coming back within 2 weeks, but Marshall is pretty soon. Hardy's been a little shaken up with the ankle, but I think it's only up from here, honestly. I think we've gone through the worst of this losing streak.
Yeah.
And I think over the next couple games, there's a couple key players to watch out for. Who do you think those are?
Next couple of games, I think if Najee Marshall returns, yes, he will be a key player to look out for. And Clay, we haven't talked about him, but he's been really good. Yeah. His average points per game has dropped down slightly, but he's still been balling out. And then obviously Kyrie, no doubt about it. Kyrie, Luka. I mean, Gafford too. We have our team is deep in terms of scoring.
Yeah, and also, I think a reason that Klay Thompson's points per game has dipped, without Luka, he doesn't get the shot attempts. It's kind of clear. They trust each other so much for only being in the team together for not even half a season.
Not even a year. Yeah.
It's been half a season, and Luka, he doesn't even know. He doesn't even look who's guarding Klay, how open he is. He just passed it to him, and then he's already running back on defense before the ball is even shot.
Yeah. It's just the amount of trust he has in Klay. Such a short time, and
it's like right before Luka went out, they were finally starting to get each other in a groove. Like Klay had 20 in a couple.
They're clicking.
Yeah, and now he's gone down a little bit. But there was one game in particular against the Timberwolves. Wait, no, that was PJ. That was PJ's game. There was one game against the Nuggets. He went off. Yeah, it was crazy to see because it was like vintage Klay. It was awesome.
Yeah. Was it? I'm trying to remember. He had 25, I think, that game. Yeah.
And that was without anyone. No Luka, no Kyrie, no.
Anyone. Yeah. We lost, but he helped us for sure. And we only lost.
That game made me so angry because we had two 20-point leads and we blew them each time.
Yeah. And I think that's, a big reason, missing Luka and Kyrie, two of the best players on the team.
Two of the best closers in the league, if not the two best closers in the league.
Yeah, best duo in the league, I think.
Yeah,
undoubtedly.
They closed so many close games for us. That's why last year we were the first in the league in these close game scenarios. Clutch time, 5 minutes to go, 5 points. We were number one. We lost 2 or 3 games. This year we've lost 10. And it's we have a losing record in the clutch, which is very strange. And it is because they're out, but still, it's not a Mavericks thing at all.
Yeah. And the Kyrie and Luka 1-2 punch is, I think, unstoppable once they're both going. The only downside I can say is, which I feel like this year and last year that's kind of shifted, but you've seen at times where if Kyrie and Luka, maybe one of them aren't doing as well, they're not playing to their mat full. then the team kind of falls apart in terms of scoring. But I think we've last year we've kind of seen that in the beginning of the season because we had a lot of new players, but the team then slowly gelled, and that started that problem started going away because we have other guys to step up. We have Clay now. We have Gafford's been there, but I mean we have Clay, Najee Marshall, big guys to step up. Even Dinwiddie can sometimes step up too. So
something to monitor. Like, it's a little weird. People always talk about how bad Luka is on defense, and I understand that he's not the best at all. And even when he shows effort, he's just amazing. He's not amazing. He's pretty good because of how big he is. Over the stretch that we didn't have, what's it called? Over the stretch we haven't had him, and I know we've had other people out. Like, we've dropped in defensive rating 2 or 3 spots.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting. I think over these next couple games, if we want to get back, we just need to kind of survive, like keep our head above the water without losing.
Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, just right now with players being out, we just have to really kind of just win out games. Anything we can do to win, just and be consistent. Because that's something we lack, consistency. That's for sure.
Yeah, the clutch record just needs to improve, and I think once that improves, we're golden.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man.
All right.
It was fun talking to you.
It was fun.
All right. Peace.
Well, that's a wrap for today's show. Thank you for watching Bucket Talk. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next episode.